And then once, obviously, when this comes out, I'll bleed it in, have a nice intro, talk a little bit about you and our chat, and yeah, so it's awesome, Mick. It's so cool that you obviously have some stuff coming out, so you want to promote that, and then at the same time, obviously, tell a little bit about your story and your journey.
Your podcast is called The Sequel Dude?
Well, no, I call myself the sequel dude, but the podcast is The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel.
I got it. Well, because I'm the sequel dude.
Yeah, you've worked on a lot of sequels.
A lot of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, 4, Leatherface, Critters 2.
So you worked on Nightmare 3 and Nightmare 4. Wow.
I was the art director, production designer on 3, and then I was the production designer on 4.
Wow. And then one thing, we'll talk about more of these things later, but you are the first person to work on Fantastic Four, the original Fantastic Four.
I am.
And since then, it's so funny. You think about not only like sequels themselves, when you have the same cast of characters, or even just continuing some sort of story, it's like, I find that's a sequel. But like the redoing of Fantastic Four, it's pretty wild. Like every few years, it's like, okay, that one didn't work because we didn't have the people.
I have so many thoughts
on that.
I do. I really do. On Fantastic Four in general, I mean, but we'll get into that. How about
get into that, right? So, Mick, about some of the things you have going on right now, you have Solitude, which you directed and wrote.
That's right.
And it's on Tubi right now.
Yeah, I co-wrote it with Jeremy Brown, and we did Vengeance, which was Friday the 13th fan film, and that was my first volunteer-ish. First time I ever volunteered or worked with only volunteers, and it was interesting, But Solitude was just really low budget and really small, but you just saw it, right?
Yeah. No, I liked it.
Yeah,
you know what I liked about it? And again, somebody might be listening and say, "Oh, well, Doug, they've done this." I've never seen that storyline in a horror movie yet.
Right. It was because Jeremy came up with the idea of the story.
Yeah.
It's funny, as we were going along, we kept trying to decide whether she was crazy or whether she had become crazy because of hunger and so forth, or if there was really a monster out there, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is we kept deciding not to decide. and then which actually turned out so interesting in the end.
It did, yeah. No, it was a lot of fun. People got to check it out. And then another one, when's Pig Hill come out?
Pig Hill just got its distribution. They actually they're going to have a couple of different theater showings of it across America, but they're also working right now on getting it out, getting a distributor for it.
Yeah,
that's a very interesting film. That's Kevin Lewis.
Oh wow.
Kevin Lewis was the guy who did Willy's Wonderland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really funky movie.
It was a really weird movie, right? I mean, but it was a good movie.
Yep.
And I think that this one is probably actually better than that one. It's a dark movie, though, boy.
Yeah.
It is. It is dark and evil.
Well, that'd be pretty neat. So yeah, no, I'll make sure to put links for folks to be able to check it out. Obviously, see Solitude, that's on Tubi, and then be able to keep an eye out for Pig Hill when that's going to be able to hit VOD. And
thank you for watching Solitude. Appreciate that.
No worries, man. Thank you for taking the time. So now we're talking about what's going on now. One of my favorite things to do, obviously, touch on credits, which we kind of did before I started, just a little bit, but it's more the beginnings, like where the journey begins. So Mick, where'd you grow up? Did you grow up in the Midwest? Because that's where you're at now, right?
No. I literally I was a very rare thing. I was an actual Californian.
Really?
I was born and raised in San Bernardino, and got into the business. My sister grew up in there. She went to New York and was doing off Broadway, and I mean really off
Do you mean
Broadway.
that's when they throw you in Jersey, where I live? Is that when they throw you in Jersey?
That's off Broadway is like where your theater is like under 50 seats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of those. Yep.
See what I mean? I mean, she did that sort of thing, and basically she would be hawking purses on the corner.
Wow.
And she came to LA to do. One of the directors of one of the shows got a Canadian safety film and got $5 million to do it, to make this little. That's a crazy story by itself. I should get into that story on.
That's like money laundering. That's like those money laundering story. $5 million.
Dude, it was so weird, because here's the strange thing about it is we did this film, this little commercial called Play Safe, and if you look it up, go Astra
Yeah.
robot. Yeah. Play Safe. Take a look at it really quick.
Wait, is the Astra robot, is that the one that spawned into Johnny Five?
It didn't spawn into.
Oh, okay.
It didn't spawn in.
Okay.
It was literally this robot. It's really well done, though. I mean, it was done by John Dykstra, and we did all the sets for it, and it was crazy. It was just the craziest ass thing. And the thing is the actress that was in the robot suit got injured, and so we all had to be on payroll for like 4 months, just hanging out in LA. And the thing is in that 4 months, I kind of slid into the business.
Oh my God, dude, that is frightening. I'm seeing it right now. And it's funny, it says, like, Vice did an article on it, said, remembering Astor, the star of Canadians' most hardcore act.
Here's the weird thing about this, is I didn't find out about this until like 2-3 years ago.
Oh my
God. I was doing a podcast. With some Canadians, right? And they go, wait a minute, you did what? And I said, well, one of the first things that I did in business was I painted this robot, right? And so we got all these metallic paints, and anyway, that was the first thing that I did in the business. And this guy goes, oh my God, you don't know anything about that commercial? And I said, well, I mean, we shot the commercial.
Yeah.
But basically what we did is we created 5 tubes that were 40 feet high, and she falls through all those tubes. We filmed it in reverse and in slow motion, and we put together that little commercial, right? That safety commercial. And at the end of it, her arm comes off, gets cut by one of the big saws, and she takes the arm and she puts it back on. I'm a robot. I can put myself back together, but you can't, right? Here's the crazy thing. When we made it, we did it in LA, and you know how separate Canada is from America as far as its TV.
Oh, yeah.
So the Canadian Broadcasting Company aired that every afternoon in between cartoons for 30 years.
That's insane. What was it an anti-thing of? I didn't watch it. But what?
It's.
Oh, I see it. It says the war amputations of Canada.
Yeah, right.
So was it like anti-war? Like if you go to war, you're gonna lose?
No. It was a safety. It's about safety, because the robot can put her arm back on,
Oh,
right?
like scaring kids into being safe?
Exactly.
Oh
And
my God.
that's why it was a scary little robot, right?
Oh my God.
How crazy is that,
Yeah,
right?
that was my next thing to tell you. The next article was like a Reddit thread, and it was like, if
Yeah.
you grew up in Canada in the 80s, you were probably frightened by this ad. And it was that video.
Right, exactly. And this guy goes, "You're kidding me. You scared me as a kid, and then you turn around and terrify me when I get older by doing Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4 and Leatherface?" He says, "You're the complete package, my friend, the complete package." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I had never heard anything about it. I mean, literally the last that I had heard about it was when we finished filming and walked away from it.
Yeah.
But you talk about that, and I know that this is weird, but if you're Canadian, you've seen that cartoon, you've seen that ad for 30 years.
That is pretty nuts.
It's completely crazy. I mean, completely crazy. I didn't know that I had this northern thing going, right?
Yeah, right. Oh my God. So you're saying from then in between so is this like 84? Because the earliest credits that are on IMDb, and I don't know if they're usually not 100% accurate, but Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah, I'd probably been in the business maybe, I'm gonna say 3 years, but just doing
Little things?
bits.
What would you say was the first time that you were on a set? Like you were saying, like this, you weren't even thinking about this thing. You do the Astro Robot, but what was the first thing after that?
Oh God, I did a bunch of. It's weird because I did like Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, a lot of films that have changed names so many times that you wouldn't recognize. They were low budget films back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. I mean, these days they have your credits. If your toe touches on a set somewhere, it's going to show up on IMDb.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, back then, if you were a carpenter or an assistant prop, worked assistant props or something like that, hey, the chances are you probably wouldn't get a credit.
Yeah. No, that's true.
But some of them, so until I started doing things until I got the name construction coordinator.
Yeah.
And I did that for a couple of years, and that name showed up and then from then on, it started to, then I would be either a construction coordinator or an art director or a special effects guy or something, right? And then my combination of working with on Witchboard doing effects and I just remember that I had this crazy guy by the name of Tassel Bauer that was a really good friend of mine, and the two of us would go do special effects, and we would do a day on a set, right?
Yeah.
And we would string them all together to make a week, right? And what it did was it put me in so many different places that just never came up, on IMDb. To tracking all those one day jobs.
Yeah, I can understand with that type of line of work. Like I talked to a few people that did special effects, and some of the credits that they have, it's because the work was done at their shop and they really didn't even quote unquote like work on it.
Right. Well, the thing is we did mechanical effects, and it's a little bit different. It's primarily stuff that's on set.
Oh, okay.
So it would be on one's. I never did that many makeup effects unless it happened to be something really big, like the blood scene at the beginning of Blade.
Oh, yeah.
That was my rig. That took months. It took months and months to put that together and make that actually happen.
That's wild.
Because I wanted it to look a particular way, and I got exactly what I wanted out of it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So Mick, are you a handy guy? Did you like take wood shop, or was your old man like into that stuff? Because it's funny,
he
it's
was,
like
yeah,
you go into this
he was.
thing and you're like all these different things that you weren't like obviously quote
That
unquote
was
trained for, but that's
I
gotta be a
used to
lot of fun, right? Learning while you're
as
doing
I
it.
was growing. Yeah, and being a production designer, knowing how things go together, and then visualizing it was kind of second nature. My mother was an artist. My father was a contractor.
Oh,
So
then
those
look at
two
that
things
perfect
together,
marriage.
exactly. You see what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
I just grew up being able to like take this and that, and I have the heart of a mouser. Uh, you know what a mouser is?
No.
Okay, mouser. A mouser is when you take two things and you put them together to create and and you create something that's completely an antithesis to what those two items were,
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
So a mouser kind of okay. I got an example of it. If you're making a lightsaber, for instance, right?
Okay.
Okay, the prop makers who put those together, that's called mousing. Is putting together a bunch of items to.
Oh.
In other words, it isn't something that's made in a mold or something like that. It's you basically are collusioning it together, and then you're making it do things like open and slide, and that, and it has to do with electronics and hydraulics and pneumatics and all the rest of that. Is being able to mouse things. That's what mousing is.
Okay. So you have the heart of a
It
mouser. So that's you.
well, and here's the thing: is if you think it isn't a common expression, the biggest electronics sales, like sells capacitors and resistors and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that, and pots and electronic components and stuff, is literally a company called Mouser.
Really? They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna put it right on the nose. People know where
Oh,
to
if
get
you
it.
Yeah, exactly. Because because you turn around and go, well, I'm a mouser, so where am I going to go to get? Oh, that's Mouser, yeah, right. It's absolute. There is a Mouser.com, and it is 100. It is 100% everything I just said.
That's pretty amazing. So one thing I think that's cool about like the totality of your career, like just the different studios that you worked with, like ones that are kind of like legendary, like in the sense of the low budget filmmaking, like they would put out whatever, and then they put out like some epic movie out of nowhere, like but they would put like essentially canon films. So early on
Right.
working for
Oh, yeah.
them, which I think is a cool connection. Like I interviewed Sam Furstenberg, which this was his first or second movie for Canon.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember working on Runaway Train.
Yeah.
Runaway
What an
Train was
amazing I talked to
wild.
Eric Roberts, like, you thinking about that movie? It is so amazing. The people in it too. Tiny Lister has that
Yeah.
small part as the guy in the
Yeah.
elevator. And then what's his name? That's
Rebecca De
like one
Mornay.
of the Danny Trejo trained Eric
Yeah.
Roberts in that.
Trejo. 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 Literally. I got two the two first things that he did, I did.
Really? That's
He was
amazing.
he was in The Hidden, and he was in
And
Runaway Train.
wow, look at that.
Both times he was in jail. Literally, Danny Trejo's beginning was literally in the Lincoln Heights jail, and both times we were in the same fucking jail.
Oh my god. So what was it like working on like working for a studio when it comes to like projects like that? Cuz this is probably sort of different. I know that you were saying you did some like lower budget ones, but you're working for Canon. Was there any
Canon,
yeah.
Canon was so weird. Canon was the weirdest because see, Canon was Menachem Golan and I can't think of the other guy, but the two of them
Globus?
came from
Globus, right?
Globus. Yeah, Globus, and those two guys. First of all, they were both bastards. I mean, they
Yeah.
really were bastards. But the thing is they were so hated in the town, right? Because they took every opportunity to like screw as many people as they possibly could, and they were opportunists in every way you can imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
just like any good filmmaker is. But those guys, when you got a job, and this is so funny because I just recently, maybe about 2 years ago, I think, I went to do some location scouting for a vampire film, and the guy, and I can't, Steve, his name is Steve Marsh, and he was the production designer that was on Runaway Train, that was doing the LA part of it, and I was the art director that was doing the Alaska part of it. He was in LA working, right? Okay. Now get this. He's literally pulled onto this vampire film, but he really doesn't want to be there, and Jack Shoulder wants to work with me. And so we get one of those weird, when I get into town, and I drove into Atlanta, and I go to this restaurant, and I walk in, and these people are so excited because I had worked on, these, and Steve Marsh was there, and I was supposed to take over for Steve, right? And I hadn't seen him in years. It was so good to see him and all the rest of this. And they go, tell us a story about working at Canon Films. And I said, well, the primary thing you got to remember about Canon Films is that they were so hated around town that nobody would rent anything to them. Nobody would take their lines of credit. Nobody would take their fucking checks. So what they would do is what they would do is, and everybody at the table goes, you mean in the lobby? Yeah. And I go, yeah, in the lobby. Yeah. Steve had just told the story that when you walked in, if you were going to run a department, there was this credenza that was behind the receptionist desk, and she would go, well, you're Mick Strawn, right? And she'd look back, and there was bags, fucking lunch bags, one right after the other, and they had names on them. And and there was Mick Strawn, and she grabs the bag, and she dumps it she puts it on, and she says, there you go. That's your money.
Oh my
God! What do you mean
God.
it's my money? She goes, here, sign this chip, and you sign that chip for $10,000 in cash.
Oh my God.
$10,000, and you walk out of that building and go, wow, I hope that nobody out here really knows that I'm walking out of this building with a fucking lunch bag that's got 10 grand in it, right? The thing is David just told the same story about 20 minutes before I got there.
It's a pretty memorable story about how you get paid. It's like the old USFL. They were talking about, like, when you used to get your checks, it would be like a cannonball run to the bank because they only had so much money in there.
No, they're all that way. I mean, that was, really? That is such a part of independent filmmaking, because, the thing is nothing is quite as flaky as independent filmmaking then. And trust me when I say that has been maintained completely all the way through to now. I mean, it's like there's certain ways that you write a script, and there's certain things that have to be there, and that. And the other thing is that everybody's a fucking flake, and they're trying to take advantage of it, right? It's just absolutely the way it always has been. But you know what? To a certain extent, it's kind of good that certain things kind of stay the same in life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, some things stay the same. Some, I hear
I'm just saying, it's like when if you've heard the old producer joke, is one producer's talking to another, and all of a sudden the other producer goes, hey, wait a minute, you're lying. And the first producer goes, I know, but hear me out.
That's amazing. Oh man. And another so we talked about like the first time you had like construction, like that getting that gig on Electric Boogaloo. And then other firsts that I think were really cool, you kind of like mentioned a little bit earlier, was A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Right. That, it's, people ask you like, how do you get things, right? How did you get job? And part of it was that you were just in the right place, and that was a perfect example. I was working with Peter Chesney because he and I had blown up a building together on a film called Quiet Cool, and we were working for New Line Cinema, right? And the guy that we worked for was named Jerry Olson. Now, Jerry Olson, I got Peter Chesney, my good friend, mechanical genius engineer. Chesney, I worked for Chesney on and off for years. And I would do art department, but I would also do effects with him because I just I knew both of these things. And I knew that when things blew up, it's just probably a good idea to keep your hands out of the way. And look, I still got all my fingers. So anyway, the thing is Chesney had been working on this film called Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And I was running his shop. And he tells me, he says, I need you to go over to the office and submit all of our invoices because we haven't got a director yet. So we've gone as far as we can. We just need to take this file and get it over there and get it submitted and go give it to Sarah. I can't think of her name. Anyway, give it to Sarah, and there was something else that I needed to talk to them about. And I'm standing now. I was on the 8th floor off of Robertson, and as I'm standing there, the guy that walks up behind me is Jerry Olson, and Jerry Olson I knew from Quiet Cool. And I turn around and I go, Jerry, hey man, how's it going? And he goes, God, Mick, man, it's so good to see you. And I go, what are you doing here? And I go, well, he says, I just was hired as the line producer for this thing, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And I go, oh, cool. And I said, I'm just putting in the final effects billing. And we get in the elevator and I go, Jerry, follow me here, Jerry. I've just done all the preliminary work on the effects with Peter Chesney. Peter and I are pretty tight, but what I was thinking is you don't have an art director yet. And I didn't know. Literally, that's why I got the credit art director, is because I didn't say production designer in the fucking elevator. Right? I go, you need an art director to put this together. And he goes, God, you're right. And you've already done the effects. And I know that you do art department because you built that town for me up north. You built that building that we blew up. And I go, yeah, right. And he goes, well, that's, and I said, you know what? I'll bring my sister on. She'll do the set dressing and I'll do all the, and I'll oversee the effects and I'll do the building and we'll just put that whole thing on the stage. And he goes, this is a great fucking idea. And the door's open. I got another job.
Oh my God. Wait, so your sister was still doing stuff in the business and you were looking out for her and getting her jobs?
Yeah,
or?
well, the thing is because I had, what I had handled is I knew quite a bit about cameras and lighting and a lot about effects and that. And I knew how things looked, but she, and she was more of into the set dressings, and the curtains and the shit like that. And I'll be honest, every time I walked up to a piece of cloth, if it was called a curtain, the chances are it just burst into flames, I mean, I'm just that kind of guy, So that combination together, the two of us we did that. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and then The Hidden, and then Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And then she went on and did 5, and I peeled off and did the TV series, and then I did Leatherface, and occasionally I would use her once in a while to do set painting or something like that, and she'd have me come in and do mechanical things left and
That's
right,
awesome.
like mechanical effects and stuff.
That's really cool. The person who started a little bit of a journey. So Nightmare 3, if you think about it, obviously you're a fan of horror. Going into that movie, is it like, obviously not the word pressure, because it's not like, I always feel like, because sequels at that time, they're obviously starting to get made more and more for movies.
You know, that one stands out though, and it stands out.
100%.
Right? Okay, well, it stood out for a specific reason. Bob Shea was like, look, Bob Shea brings us together in a meeting and says, look, let's hash this out, because we need to make this, we want to turn around that thing of diminishing return, which is basically kind of the way that those
100%,
things, 100%. And the second one sucked, right? So, I mean, I don't mean to cast aspersions here, but I didn't understand what was going on in the second one at all. I mean, I loved the first 15 minutes of it, but then the horror logic of it kind of just didn't tie together for the rest of it, right?
Yeah, I like the pool scene. The pool scene to me is great.
By the time we got to the pool scene, fucking nothing made sense anymore, right? You know, and the thing is I hate to be this way, but something, it's such a blatant break against the rules. I mean, you know, the way that this works is a horror film sets up rules and then goes about to bend them just enough to tell you a story.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing is you know, things weigh in and out. So Bob Shea is like, look, we're going to make this a great movie. And so as we're sitting there, you know, we had, first of all, Wes came up with he came up with the concept that they were going to pull somebody into the dreams, right? And here's the thing that does is that made it, that took care of your Superman problem.
Yeah.
And you know what the Superman problem is, right? The Superman problem is just not interesting without kryptonite, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, of course.
You see, the thing is that, and Freddy, here's the Superman problem with Freddy is eventually you got to go to sleep.
Yep.
And when you do, you're screwed, right?
Yep.
So changing that by making it so that in a dream you could pull somebody else in made it less of the Superman problem. So he took care of that. Yeah. And then the next idea was that Bob was going to let Robert off the chain, you know, as opposed, Robert was going to become more of a character, Robert Englund, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we all know how that turned out. This is just amazing, right?
It's really unreal when you really think about it. Just how mainstream a horror character was, like with the 900 number. He was in like commercials all the time.
And the thing is he rode the line on 3 and 4.
Yeah.
He rode the line in between horror and kind of a suave sort of slapstick in a way, you know? And the thing is it was just Robert. And Robert, because Robert wasn't just a dumb stuntman in a mask. I mean, who could only do, because let's face it, what do you need for a Friday the 13th? You need somebody that can put a mask on and go, right? You know, I mean, it it's it's just not the same thing. Robert is amazing, right? And so now you had, and then I'm in one of these meetings and I'm going, okay, well, you know what? I want to blast. I want to pull us off of locations and just, I want to build all this stuff, and I want to, and I, and my concept of it in my head, this was more of sort of a Sinbad the Sailor kind of thing.
Yeah.
Alibaba and the 40 days, 40 nights. You know, I just saw it more as a journey, right? It's a journey piece. And so what I tried to do is make that journey more interesting, you know, kind of lead you, kind of a journey, kind of like my inspiration at the time was from reading Ray Bradbury and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Something Wicked This Way Comes was always sat on my mind, you know, that you're taking these kids are taking us on this journey, to try and the journey is to try and survive,
Yeah.
you know, but I wanted the journey to be the interesting part of it. I wanted it to look right, you know?
And obviously it worked
And
out. Yeah, Chuck Russell, Frank Darabont. That's like one of the early days of them like teaming up.
yeah,
So it was like a perfect
right.
storm with the look of the movie. Like you said, Robert being a little bit, unleashed, can, welcome to primetime, bitch. And you get like these lines, you're like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, you have these suddenly powerful kids. Who doesn't want to be suddenly powerful in their dreams? You know, I mean, it is perfect, right?
Yeah. And then obviously that was such a success. The movie's like, the franchise is back on track. And I think I love the fourth one because it seemed like maybe that was one that was on cable a lot more as a kid. I remember watching it so much.
Here's what I've always said. You have Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4 both looked exactly the way that I wanted them to.
Yeah.
But the thing is the third is the better movie, right?
Agreed.
But it can only be seen as a movie, right? The thing about 4 is that 4 was more like we slammed a bunch of clips together.
Yeah.
Right? It's all these really interesting, really visual things happen, and I swear I went so big on everything on 4. It's like if it's like the junk. To me, the ultimate statement of 4 was the junkyard. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that was that took us 7 weeks and 30 people to put that set together. And that was basically what we did. Is we bought all the cars in a junkyard, and then we rented the empty lot next door, and we dug a hole for the dog pissing fire, right?
Yeah.
And we dug that hole, and then we transferred 300 cars to be stacked. And when I say stacked, each one of those was welded and cabled together in such a manner that and it's great because I wrote a book about 4, and in it was the concept of the model that I built, that I was building at like 1 o'clock in the morning when people had stopped fucking with me and bugging me, right? And literally, I had this big rubber mallet and this enormous pile of these little matchbook cars, and I would take them one by one, put them on this stone slab that I had on my desk, and crush them, put them in, and then glue them into the model right where I want, you know. And the thing is it's so much more sophisticated than you think, because there's all this rigging that's involved in that, but also, and you have to think how this works. And we had a lot of this problem through 4 is because of the way that we wanted to light it, which was from 50 feet away with halogens, and then put smoke behind it, and then shoot that through all the holes in the set. So what you don't know about that film is you're always looking right into a halogen light, and that's why you get all those beams of light coming through it. So the challenge with that is there's only one layer of cars at any given time.
Really?
And it's made to look like there's multiple layers. But it was a mind fuck to put the whole thing together.
Yeah.
Because the lighting was the lighting and the rigging and all this was just such an integral part of everything that we did on it, you know.
Well,
And I always say we because I never consider. I mean, I don't want to say I'm the one that designed it. I'm the one that put it. But you know what? I can't do shit alone. I had 75 people working for me. You know.
that's nuts.
So
man.
I is we, no matter what.
Yeah. And I think you said it best about that movie. It seems like such a clip fest, the fourth one, because I'm sure they had a really good script. And then once Patricia Arquette.
No, we had no script at all.
Even before that, there
we
was
had
nothing.
a 40-page. Let me tell you something. We had a 40-page outline. We had a 40-page outline, and in that outline, we were we got caught into this the loop, right? Remember the loop?
Yeah. I love that
okay,
scene. I
so-
interviewed Alice Johnson. I can't think of her name right now. Oh, Lisa Wilcox. That scene
Lisa
is
Wilcox,
amazing.
Good friend of mine. It's amazing, but here's the thing: is we didn't have an end to it. So literally, there was a couple of meetings, but I was in the middle of a meeting with everybody in there, and we were trying to figure out how we get out of that loop, right? And I mean, we were having like the worst meeting you can imagine because I mean, we had all the directors, we had the transpo, we had the producer, we had everybody and their assistants sitting around this table. And it was the second time we had done this. And at some point, we had fucking Freddy up in a jet that the car had turned into a jet, right? And he was like, and we were having a discussion: is Freddy the stewardess or is Freddy one of the pilots? I mean, I'm sitting there and I literally, and the thing is by the time we were doing 4, I was one of the main voices, right?
Yeah.
And we're sitting in this meeting, and I'm at the head of the table, just going, "Oh God!" And I said this. I said it out loud. I said, I just want to hit nothing. And it was more of a, I just want to hit nothing, but it's because I want to get out of this fucking meeting. And some PA that was sitting on the outside, it was the 2 ring kind of thing, the big table, and then everybody's assistant is sitting back out here in this one, and this PA, and I hear this PA go, well, and Mr. Strawn, what would that look like? And I looked up, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm going like, well, it would kind of look like you took the bumper of the truck and you put a huge steel cable to it, and you took that cable back and you tied it to a D7 Caterpillar. And then you just put a camera right there where the cable taut came up, and you just somehow ran the truck to the end of the cable. And Peter Chesney, my buddy, Peter Chesney said it, and he goes, I can do that. I went, okay, well, let's do that. In the meeting, everybody up.
Oh my God, man.
And literally, that's what you see. That is literally what you see, and I'm not kidding, I was behind that camera. Going, yeah.
Do you have obviously we can't talk about all the scenes from these, which I love these movies, but do you have a particular favorite one that you set up? Like I know a fan favorite is like the Roach Motel, like that whole scene.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the shot that I just described. I mean, as far as that's kind of my favorite. I love the entire sequence of her going inside of the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, because that was such a complicated. It is so much more complicated than it looks.
Oh, it looks
Because
unreal. How good it is.
yeah, and you know, I've talked to people before that say, well, we never been able to figure out how you did it. I mean, because it's obviously she's not on a fly rig or anything like that. And I go, well, yeah, it's a fall. She literally is hanging on to a balcony piece that we cut out, that we made, that's on a crane, 8 stories up, and on the back is the side of a building, just the concrete side of a building that we put that we hung the beams, the painted beams were hung one right after the other.
Oh, wow.
Down it, so that when she falls, lets go of that, and she falls into the blue screen, that the cameras can track her down like this without any cables or anything like that.
Wow. That's awesome.
That was before we could make cables go away, yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool that you had that opportunity to work on those movies. And I think it'd be cool if they did make another one that continued the story. 'Cause I always think like Alice Johnson is one in like horror history. She doesn't get the love that she deserves.
Yeah.
She survived him twice in 2 films, and there was never like those one-off lines in some movies where like, yeah, oh, that Alice Johnson that died. They never reference her in the other ones, and I'm just like, she
Never.
was so good.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be the other one. It was supposed to be
Well, it's gonna be Patricia Arquette, I'm sure, right?
no, her replacement.
Well, Tuesday night. Oh, they're really going to have Tuesday
Yeah.
night as the main.
I mean, yeah, that was the way that was supposed to be.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's even a longer story.
Yeah, no,
That's
I can see that. I can see that, but it is funny with that movie. It's like, I remember the people from the first one or the third one. It's like, we're gonna kill all of them right now, real quick.
Right. Yeah, that was a hateful thing to do. That was a weird thing.
The pool scene was not the pool, but the waterbed scene again for a movie that's the 4th in the installment. Just how iconic and memorable is that shot when you see her?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, it's such a complicated, and those are such. The thing is like I say, every shot was big and complicated because that's all we had.
Yeah.
All we had was the shots. We didn't have an huge overall story. But the amazing thing is that the ending came together so much better than 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah, pretty wild.
I mean,
Mick, what was the name of your book? Was that all about your career, or really just primarily about
primarily about 4?
4?
Yeah,
That's
it was about 4 and 3. There's quite a bit about 3.
What's the name of it?
Behind the Screams.
Behind the Screams, cool. So I'll put a link for that people to check out. And then also, if you haven't seen it, Never Sleep Again.
Yeah, I'm the one that you need to get a hold of, because I never submitted it to Amazon. I've sold.
Okay.
I sold 2,000 of them just at con. That's the only reason I wrote it. I wrote it so I had something to give away at cons, because or not give away, but
I know
sell at cons.
Yeah.
Because the thing is I hear a lot of stupid stories about that. At the time, originally, I heard just a lot of, I want to say, kind of the actors talking to each other kind of stories, and
Really?
well, I mean, those are the stories that were out.
You're talking about like people are making up stories, so you want to set the record straight?
No, it isn't that. It's just that they were on this shallow little level up here. I wanted to give this story down here, because it was such an interesting film to work on.
Yeah.
it was truly cool to work on. It was all these young guys. I mean, I was 30. I was like literally oldest. I was the only adult out there.
Because Rennie was young. Rennie Harlan was super young.
Here's the thing. I'm still.
What's crazy about his career is how it quickly ascended, right? The whole story was that I've heard, I think it was on the Never Sleep Again documentary. It was like, I don't know who took him for a drive. It might have been the guy that runs Bob Shea. Like, they went to all the things and the movie crushed. And then I think by that Monday, he had the offer to direct Die Hard 2 or something nuts.
Right, exactly. And the weird thing is that he didn't speak English.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just broken kind of. And the thing is he would always show up to set with a blonde under each arm. It was but here's the thing. The thing about Rennie is what we would do is we would put it together, and Rennie would show up on set with his two blondes under each arm, and he'd film it. At least, that's. I got to give him credit for just not jumping in where he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome.
What can you say?
I think so. After you do the Nightmare 3 and 4, is it a lot of, because I know for these jobs you're auditioning, some are like word of mouth, right, or people referring you, right?
They're all word.
Have you ever auditioned for have you auditioned for like a production designer job? Go in and say, here's how I would like it. Is that wild?
No. Well, you got to remember, this is not a huge pool of people back then.
No, that is true.
Like
yeah.
It's not like now. It's like we all knew each other. I mean, that's all there was to it, right? And the thing is, we all had particular kind of reputations. I had a reputation of doing really big stuff for not a lot of money, and being is technically savvy,
Well, that's what people like to hear. You make it look big on a small budget, and you work with the Fat Boys. That's a good thing to have on your resume.
With the Fat Boys, right?
That video, like when you talked about that before, I almost mentally forgot that song, and I know all the words to it. Like if I played it right now, and it is funny to think about where Freddy goes from, like first one, a little like one-liners here and there. The second one, they didn't want to pay him, and they had like that one scene with the stiff guys walking.
The scene with that big dude.
Yes.
Right.
But then you give him like, hey, here, and then it changed, man. He like went into the. But that song, I think, is so insane how great that is. And then he was like in a Will Smith song too, like Nightmare on My Street, right, or something.
Well, yeah, and then he had that Dawkins song, which is still people are still into that today.
Insane, one of the best. And I think it's cool because you also obviously had the work opportunity with like Freddy, but I think another underrated movie you worked on, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I love that movie.
Yeah. That I thought that we kind of did a really good job of recentering the series. And I don't think that was recentered well again.
I know another one they tried it a few times over and over and over.
They tried it. They tried a few times and they really fucked that thing up, man. I mean, I don't. The interesting thing about it is, and I'm not going to say a lot about that. That's Jeff Burr. Jeff Burr was. We built everything. We built the house. We built the gas station. We the whole thing. We put it together. But one of the overall concept we did was like there's things through that later on people would do with put bones in macrame and kind of that for some of all the ones that were past that. And I was like, and I remember standing on set going, saying, well, yeah, you said that you wanted art done by these guys. And I said, no. I said, this is what kind of art I want. I want
I want you to drill a fucking hole in a skull and then take a femur and
fucking slam it through there, and that's art. That's their art,
Yeah.
right? That's the best that they do. And the funny thing is I know it sounds like a little thing, but here's the thing is every version of it that was past that, it was like bones and macrame hangers and shit like that. I was like, dude, you just fucking didn't get it, right? It's like they didn't ever get the memo.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking boutique.
But I love Vigo. I talked to R.A. Mihailoff. So it was just, and he was good buddies with Jeff Burr. And that story is crazy at the end of the movie, right? The fact that Jeff Burr doesn't know that the ending gets changed. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
that's Hollywood.
that's you know, the thing is in the end, what we were working in was a business.
Yeah. Oh, right now. Yeah.
And not and essentially, at the same time, it's a Corvette that's being driven by 60 people at once.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that is the best way to describe how did it get fucked up? Well, there were 60.
Amazing. So
we wrapped it around a tree. God damn it,
man. So other films, Candyman, Critters 2. You really covered all the great horror, like the big ones.
This, I have to say, this is the weirdest thing that I had never understood. Is my good buddy, Jacques Haken, rest his soul. Jacques Haken was the DP on Nightmare on Elm Street, right? On the first one and the second one.
Okay.
And the thing is I worked with him like 6 times. And the thing that's really weird is if you sit down, he is a great DP. He's a great photographer, right? But if you sit down and look at his entire resume, it's really, really busy. I mean, he stayed busy, but at the same time, Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2 are the kind of, and The Hidden to a certain extent, are kind of like the best things on it, and all the rest of them are just like kind of little piddly things all the way along. and I have to think that I don't know how, but it's just the way the fates worked. I kind of went from one thing to the other that turned out to be really popular and is still around, you know? I mean, Blade, Mortal Kombat. I can go on and on and on and on. Critters 2, Leatherface, you know, on and on and on. And I don't know how that worked. I mean, Hercules, you know, it's all this weird thing. Because even that in the Midwest, you know, the funny thing is when you're East Coast or West Coast, and if you don't include the East and West Coast, you bring up Hercules, and everybody's, oh my God, Hercules, that was amazing. Kevin Sorbo was amazing, and yet, and I swear we didn't give a fuck about Kevin Sorbo in L.A. I mean, just didn't give a fuck, right? And yet, that series is still really popular in Poughkeepsie, you know? It's like you just don't know. You just go from one. I don't know how the fates work like that. You know?
You never know what's going to be a hit, because I'm sure there's projects that you worked on before that look great, right?
Right. Exactly. I don't know how it works, right? And hell, I'm a big part, you know? The thing is eventually I kind of like settled into a role of being the guy that came in and did a specific thing, right? I fixed this or I fixed that, or I did a big complicated this or a big complicated that. And that's it's a good role for me.
Like a hired gun. They bring you in when they're like, hey, we need this one thing and we know you could do it.
Eventually, I went on and kind of did that for Disney in the 2000s, and we don't get to talk about that. Because I've had lawyers sit down at tables and read me NDAs word for word, and then sign this in blood, motherfucker. Sign it in blood.
Oh
And
my
boy,
God.
I gotta tell you something. You know what? When a lawyer from Disney sits you down and reads you an NDA, you don't say shit.
You mentioned Disney. You better watch your. You better sleep with one eye open tonight.
I'm going to. Don't get me wrong. I got the dogs already to take care of.
Nick, one movie that's on here, and I'm sure I could probably find it somewhere, but I think it's quite interesting because I think William Ragsdale, I think he's such a good comedic actor, is Frankenstein the College Years. That's one of the credits on here.
That's the second time this year somebody's brought that. That is so funny. Yeah, it's Frankenstein with College Years. Yeah, it's funny because I was sitting around, bring this all the way around down to Solitude. When I was working on Solitude, this is a great story.
Well, that's cool.
When I was working on Solitude, um, the guy who did we were sitting around at one point at the end of the day, right? And we were, so what's the worst thing that you've worked on? You know, and these guys were all new, and you know, everything that they had, you know, they had never done anything that you would know about, right? You know, and I was sitting there and I go, well, you know, I think possibly the worst thing that I would have done, and I mean there have been some doozies, don't get me wrong, and I said that. I said Frankenstein the College Years. And the guy who did our makeup effects absolutely watched that we had, and we watched it. I was so blown away. I was like, really? I just couldn't even believe that. I was like, but you know what? I will tell you one thing about the two.
That's funny.
That was the guy that helped me put our monster together.
Oh, okay.
But forgot what I was saying. Did I mention
Yeah. No, you were connecting Solitude to Frankenstein the College Years, and you did.
Yes, Frankenstein the College Years we use, remember I was thinking, is the devices that we used to do the. I literally went down to Universal, right? And I said, you know, I'm doing a Frankenstein movie. And I said, you guys are Universal. I don't suppose you got some of the old Frankenstein props hanging around. The guy goes, fuck yeah. Come on, I'll show you.
That's awesome.
Way back in a corner of one of the big sheds back there was like, I rented a whole bunch of that set. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Oh my God. Isn't it cool, like, to think about, not saying you didn't think about getting older props like that from films you watch, but did you ever purposely do that? Put things in to scenes that maybe meant something to you? Or anything in the background, like when you were setting up a scene?
Runaway Train. Right. Runaway Train. We needed numbers for the 4 trains. See, we had 4 trains and 2 of them had window. They were GP40 engines, right? And they had windows that had a designation number in them, right? And the thing is we built them out of wood. They were built on lowboys. We were matching ones that were in Montana, right? And they didn't have that particular model up there, so we literally built them on lowboys, which are small locomotive motors that they use for switching, right? So we built all of those trains that you see through that are all actually not, they're actually wood.
Oh, wow.
Here's the thing. So the number plates that were on there, I kept asking, well, what are the numbers? What are the numbers? What are the numbers? And then nobody answered me. And so eventually my first daughter,
birth date, and 8/12 is my son's birth date.
And here's the great thing is I went into a guy's house one time, and he was Kira Kurosawa, who was the
Okay.
writer of. He was a fan of the writer of that, and he had the poster up there. I said, you know, I said, he goes, oh, you like that? I say, yeah, get a magnifying glass out, and you're gonna see that the numbers on that are 531 and 812. And he looked, and he goes,
Oh my God. That's a great, if you think about canon posters, that is probably the most beautiful. Is that like a Drew Struzan?
it's a beautiful. Oh yeah, yeah. You know, the one thing I gotta say about the guys at Canon is they did pay a lot. They did pay for art. You know, they wanted particular people doing because they had these dreams. They wanted Runaway Train to be a contender for all kinds of awards.
It worked. It definitely
Yeah, it
worked at
worked.
the time, right? Man, Mick,
Yeah.
this has been so much fun. One of my favorite things to ask folks before we end this is along the way, did you ever keep mementos, or you're a fan of keeping things from different films? No?
Not a goddamn thing. I don't believe in it. You know, first of all, by the time I get to the end of a film, I fucking hate everything.
I don't want to
I don't want to
see
see
this.
Any of this again.
Yeah.
Don't want to see plans. I don't want to see props. I don't want to see. I'm sorry. I know that that's just me, right?
No, I talk to people that don't like to keep things, like even the crew jackets and stuff. They just don't like keeping things scripts. They get rid of the scripts.
I think that I have I think I have a crew jacket from Hercules, but I never kept anything. I mean, I don't have any. My kids grew up wearing all my crew shirts as pajamas. I mean, that was all I ever used them for. I was never going to wear any of that. I mean, I just don't even want to be reminded of it. The other thing is that I kind of have always had this headspace that just moves from here forward.
Yeah.
I don't go back. It's almost like a disease for me. I just don't believe in the past. You know, I remember it really well. And here's the thing. At the same time, I probably remember stuff better from back then than most people.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just don't. I don't clutter it with objects. My life is just not like that. I don't.
Yeah. Did you ever keep so when you get a script for a movie and you're doing the art for it, you don't get a script for the movie?
Oh, I do.
That's what I mean. But I'm saying then you use that, make your notes, and then the stuff that you put together that just stays with whatever place, or you just throw it out in the garbage.
Whatever trash can.
I know. This amazes some people, and I go, well, yeah, you know, I don't know what it is about me that just thinks
it's clutter. I get it. I totally get it. Having too much stuff is not good.
Literally, I could live in a pure white fucking room with a couple of huge Kandinskis or a Moreau painting in it. That's all I want.
That's all you need.
Nah, that's all I need. Yeah, I really don't need
so Mick,
else.
after Solitude, which folks check out on Tubi, is there any more directing on the horizon?
I am gonna go help a couple of friends of mine with a film called Phobia and help them direct. I directed, and I mean, not that I can talk about it, but I did a lot of stuff for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't do it again, I'm not particularly gonna miss it. I like designing. I like designing a lot. I like writing. I like fixing scripts. I fix people's scripts all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't tell you how many people I've helped move through certain things, and I charge them a nominal fee, and
Nice.
and I love a problem. I mean, here's the thing: this brain, and I don't know about other people's brains. My brain turns on when I see a
Yeah.
problem, and I know. And here's the thing: is I also
I know how to fix things. I mean, even if it's mechanical or if it's artistic or if it's a script, if it's written, I just oddly know how to fix things.
That's a good skill set to have. And then you want to fix things. Obviously, you're getting paid. That's your job. But there's some people that are like, I don't know, I'll just start the next thing, or I want something fresh. That's good that you have that mindset of like, oh no, I want to see this through. I want to see how.
No, I want to fix your little problem so that I want this to be better.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to admit, and you've seen Solitude, and let's talk about Solitude for just a minute. Solitude it's a well-paced film, but also it doesn't look like a no-budget, low-budget.
No, it looks great. And I think that's the one thing that turns me off and I don't know if you're the same way. Sometimes when you put a movie on, it's like if the sound's off or the picture doesn't look good, I get so turned off. This movie, everything looked great. The girl was fantastic. Her talking to the camera. You felt her changing each time.
Right. Every time you see her, you know that she's and the other thing is I was very careful about how we lit it at night. I wanted it to be seen. I mean, I don't believe in that bullshit. It seems to me that filmmakers these days, that when they film at night, they just fucking go out and roll their cameras.
I know, and then you can't see it, and you're like, "Oh my god, I can't see." Yeah, I know.
Did you ever, at any point in the film, think to yourself, "Well, I can't see that"?
No.
Because I went back to films like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 to get my concept of, because the way that those films were lit they're layered. Like when you're outside, you see everything because but what you're doing is you're throwing enough shadows in the right places so that your silhouette lit all the way around like that, right? And that's what we did. And we also, during the film, we're constantly moving around, so that that space, which could have been really horribly boring if we had ever stuck at one spot for a shot, but no, we completely are exploring the space and coming around to make it interesting, right?
No, that's a good idea. And you're right about the light. It's so funny if you think about like Friday the 13th, if you would have, there's never a time you're like, I can't see Jason doing this right now.
See what I'm saying?
I know. It's like,
that's the way we used to do it. We used to light it for night, right?
Yeah. Oh man, Mick, this has been awesome, man. So this will be out in 2 weeks. I'll send you a link to everything, and I'll shoot you an email because I would love to buy one of your books.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'll be number 2001.
I think I have about 20 left or something. Yeah.
I know. No, totally, man. No, it was great talking to you. It was really cool to pick your brain about the history of horror, really the 80s horror. You're a huge part of that history.
Yeah, I'm so glad that this has really been a very good experience for me, and I've had a great.
You rock, Mick. Thanks, man. Have a good rest of your night. So where are you, outside of Chicago? Or you grew up in the Midwest?
No.
Sweet.
It's a town called Gallatin.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, my buddy, we went for my company. We went on a trip to Nashville 2 years ago now. But my buddy Max, I wouldn't even know the name of it, but he works at some bar in Nashville. He's from Jersey. Just one day I was like, I'm going to go to Nashville, but fun city, man.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 6 acres that have, and we've got 2 houses on it, and my son lives. My son,
cool.
His wife, and our 4 granddaughters live in the house right next to ours. In fact, I was watching them circling my car and running around when I first started this. So
that's awesome, man. I know my kids were just banging on the door before, but I appreciate it, Mick, and keep in touch, man.
All right, sounds great. Okay,
thanks, man.